Today, I will be discussing the representative work of the ancient Greek tragic playwright Aeschylus, the trilogy known as the Oresteia. As the name suggests, a trilogy consists of 3 plays, and the Oresteia includes Agamemnon, the libation bearers, and the Eumenides. This trilogy was performed in 458 BC, and won the first prize at the dramatic competition. The first play, Agamemnon, has become a classic in dramatic literature. Today we will primarily focus on Agamemnon, and the character of Agamemnon himself. Agamemnon is a figure well known to many who love ancient Greek literature, and the Iliad. The Trojan War was an expedition initiated by the Greeks to retrieve Helen, who had been abducted. The commander of this expedition was Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae. After the Trojan War, what experiences did Agamemnon undergo? And what love-hate relationships did his family have? These stories are all reflected in the Oresteia. The sacrifice of his daughter. Before we delve into the text of the play, I would like to recount the backstory that precedes the events of the narrative. At that time, the Greeks were gathered at the port of Aulis, preparing to set sail for Troy. However, one day, Agamemnon committed an act that would affect the rest of his life. While hunting in the forest, he shot a deer, which happened to be the sacred deer of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. Not only did Agamemnon fail to apologize to the goddess, but he also boasted about his unparalleled archery skills. To punish Agamemnon for his arrogance, the goddess caused the winds at Aulis to cease. As we know, the ancient Greeks embarked on their expeditions using warships, which relied on sails. Thus, without wind, the ships could not set sail. Many heroes from various parts of Greece had already gathered at Aulis, but with no wind, they could neither proceed to Troy nor return home. Meanwhile, their supplies were running low. At this point, a seer in the army performed a divination and informed Agamemnon, "The reason there is no wind at our port is due to your act of shooting the deer, which has angered the goddess. To appease her wrath, you must make a sacrifice and offer one of your kin at the altar to the goddess. Only then can she calm her anger and provide us with wind, allowing us to advance and save the lives of the soldiers." Thus Agamemnon found himself in a dilemma. Whom should he sacrifice? He had to offer one of his children. Agamemnon had 3 children: a daughter, a second daughter, and a newborn son. The eldest daughter was named Iphigenia, the second daughter was Electra, and the son was Orestes. Which of these 3 children should he sacrifice? He could not bear to part with any of them. Ultimately, he had no choice but to sacrifice his eldest daughter. He saw that his allies, his city-state, and his comrades were all under threat of death. Therefore, Agamemnon made this reluctant choice. At that time, his eldest daughter Iphigenia was not at the port, so he had to send someone to fetch her mother and bring Iphigenia to the port for the sacrifice. How could he explain this to his wife? He could not simply say, "Bring our daughter here, I must sacrifice her." So he wove a lie telling his wife, "I have chosen a very noble husband for our daughter. Hurry and bring her here to be married." Agamemnon's wife was delighted and brought the pure and beautiful girl to the army. Little did she know that Agamemnon's true intention was to offer this girl at the altar as a sacrifice to the goddess. When the mother discovered the truth, she was left with no recourse. The poor Iphigenia, a pure and innocent maiden, was thus sent to the altar, merely to secure the interests of the Greek army. However, just as the knife was about to fall, the goddess took pity and could not bear to let such a pure girl die in vain. At the moment the knife was to strike, she made a switch. She took the girl away and placed a deer in her stead. Therefore, the knife fell, not severing Iphigenia's head, but that of the deer. In that instant, because it was the goddess's doing, all the mortals present were unaware. Neither Agamemnon as the father, nor the queen as the mother, nor any of the generals realized that it was Iphigenia who had been saved by the goddess, who took her to a distant land, to another kingdom where there was a temple of the huntress. The goddess made Iphigenia the priestess of the temple, preserving her life, but no one knew of this scene. Clytemnestra's hatred. Agamemnon had sent his daughter to the altar, and the goddess's anger was quelled. At this point the winds returned, the sails unfurled, and the army was able to set sail successfully. The men departed for battle, leaving behind a grieving mother, Agamemnon's wife. Agamemnon's wife was heartbroken and harbored hatred towards her husband. For the sake of the army, for the so-called interests of the city-state, and for men's war, he sacrificed their daughter, the child she had borne with great difficulty for 10 months. As a mother, she could not forgive her husband's actions. This wife had a very long name, Clytemnestra. She said, "You, Agamemnon, sacrificed my daughter for the sake of war and the city-state. This is very unfair. Is this war truly just? Why must we fight, and why must my daughter be sacrificed?" There is also an interesting relationship here. Queen Clytemnestra and Helen are half-sisters. Helen's mother and Clytemnestra's mother were the same person. However, Helen's father was Zeus, while Clytemnestra's father was a mortal, the king of Sparta. Thus they are half-sisters. Consequently, in some respects, Helen's lineage is more noble than Clytemnestra's. Helen is considered the most beautiful woman in the world because her father is Zeus. Clytemnestra, as the daughter of the same mother as Helen, must also have been beautiful, but her beauty would never surpass that of Helen. Therefore, the relationship between these two sisters is quite intriguing. They share the same mother, but because of different fathers, one a daughter of a god, the other a daughter of a mortal, their fates diverge. In order to retrieve Helen, Clytemnestra lost her own child. Do you think her anger could be quelled? She wondered, did Helen not have children? If the army's departure required a sacrifice, why not take Helen's child instead of mine? Thus, ever since her daughter was sent to the altar, this woman harbored deep hatred towards her husband and his actions.